All right, it's Magical Monday, so it is time to work on building some of that intuition. That's going to be today's topic. So I thought it'd be great if I just answered some of the most common questions that I get about intuition. And the first one is just a basic question. It's real simple, like, what is intuition? Um, Intuition is your ability to understand something without thinking about it. So basically, we're just not using our thinking mind. We're not working our way to the answer. The answer just kind of comes. It's understanding something without thinking. Um, a lot of times people call it a download, a gut hunch. Other names might be a gut feeling, or sometimes it's just simply a knowing. It can also come through information through your senses. I smelled that coming. I could, I smelled that a mile away. That's how can we get those terms. But it can come through your senses, like your taste, your touch, your smell, sound, all that. Uh, that's the one of the first most common questions. The second question that gets asked a lot is how can I develop or strengthen my intuition? And I just say there's three easy ways. You need to pay attention, you need to play, and you need to participate. It's real simple. Pay attention, play, and participate. The first thing with paying attention that you want to do is you want to start learning what your body feels like. Um, if you don't know what it feels like to have intuitive information come in, then it's going to be difficult to recognize when it does. For example, say you have 100 people over at your house. 100 people. So in the beginning, you don't know who's who or who's what. Two people slip in, and you may not notice those two people come in because you don't know the 100 that you're working with. Once you start learning their names, learning who they are, what's going on, then if two more show up, you're going to recognize them. So it's the same thing with intuition. You need to learn what it feels like. And the way that you're going to know that is to know that 100 people, know what it feels like when no information's coming in. So you're going to do that through mindfulness and through meditation. Uh, Mindfulness gets you in touch with how your body feels, what sensations are going on. Meditation helps you learn how to weed out the thoughts and the thinking. So both of those will help you understand intuition better. Once you know how you feel, then when new information comes in, you'll be able to recognize it. You also want to pay attention to those intuitive hits that you get. So when you do get some intuition come in, or you think you have, you need to pay attention to them, recognize them. Also, pay attention to your body. Your body is an antenna, and intuition is coming through our bodies. So a lot of times it'll have a taste or a feel to it. Maybe you'll just have a knowing that has a feel to it. Sometimes you can have sensations in the body. You might feel it in your gut. You might feel it in your chest. You might feel a difference in weight, like something feels heavy on you or something feels lighter. You may get ringing sounds, or you may have tingles. Pay attention to your body when you get those intuitive hits. Then you can journal about it. Journaling's great because we have this thinking mind. This thinking mind wants to process and analyze, and it's always thinking, thinking, thinking. When we start journaling, we start writing, we're kind of almost distracting that thinking mind a little bit. While we do still have some thoughts flowing, it's distracting, and we're able to reach a little more clarity with journaling. We can journal about what the intuitive hit was, what body sensations we have, and what you think about it. So journaling is going to be a big part of that. The next piece is we want to play. So you're going to have some fun with it. You can't be so serious. You can't be so, I've got to get this right and it's got to be perfect. No, you got to allow yourself just to play, build, do some games with it, laugh, have fun. Um, don't, it's not a work assignment. It's not a stressful piece. It's something you're going to play. Get creative. Listen to some music, do some art. When you get those creative juices flowing, then you're flowing from your intuition a little bit more, not so much from that thinking mind. So we're going to switch our brains up with some play and some creativity. The next thing is to participate. And I say participate because a lot of people think that they're not good with intuition because they don't trust it. Well, how do we trust anything until we get to know it and until we get to have some responses where our intuition is our feedback is coming back good? So, I mean, you need to just act on it. You act instead of uh, instead of trust. Once you act and you get a response, then you'll start to develop that trust later. So just act on it. Example, I always use. So if you have a feeling that you need to leave, like you just went to a party and you just have a feeling you need to leave, leave. Act on it. If you feel like you meet somebody and everybody else just thinks this person's wonderful, but you don't trust them. So that participate with your intuition is telling your body, it's telling your mind, it's telling the universe, it's telling God, hey, I'm listening to this messages. Please speak to me more this way. And so your intuition, you'll start to develop a relationship with it, and it'll get stronger. The third question that I get asked a lot is, how do I tell the difference between my intuition and anxiety or head chatter or imagination? And I love this because our brain is always thinking, but intuition, like I said, has some hallmarks. It has a feel to it. Number one, it's going to come in fast. It's not going to um, follow a trail of thought. So it's not you saying, what should I have for dinner? Then thinking about everything that's in your fridge, then just going through everything on the list of how much time you have and what your ingredients are before you decide what you're going to have for dinner. No, it'll just come in without the thought trail. Intuition is also short and it's clear. You are not going to get a lot of words. It's not going to be wordy like me. It's going to be turn left. And it's just short, clear, and descriptive. I mean, it tells you exactly what to do. It's not going to say, hey, you ought to think about turning left because there's some construction on this road and you'll get there faster. No, your intuition won't do that. It's just going to be short, clear messages. Then your intuition is going to be more of a nudge versus a shove. It's going to be calm. Um, the nudge is going to just feel like it's a part of you. It's going to be relaxed. It's just a quick, clear thought or, feeling. And it's not going to have anxiety attached to it. It's not going to be screaming and yelling and persistent and noisy and with lots of words. It's going to be a nudge versus a shove. It's not oppressive. Then another way to tell the difference is that intuition sometimes doesn't make sense. So I always give the example because I'm an old ER nurse. So I had a friend who was triaging and she had a patient where this patient by all means, shouldn't have come straight on back. He could have been put in line to wait. However, her intuition told her something different. Um, and so she brought the patient on back, and you know the story. You can tell what's coming. The patient did when she got him. She also had a little intuitive hunch that I'm just going to stick him on the monitor. When she walked away, the patient went into a deadly heart rhythm, and we had to uh, apply some electricity to his chest. We had to defibrillate. So she had information that was logical that said A, B, C, D, which means you should do that. However, her intuition popped in and it didn't really associate with some of the logical. Now, sometimes intuition will flow with the logical, but it just comes in without evidence, without reasoning. And so sometimes it takes a little bit of courage to follow that intuition because you don't really have a logical explanation for the intuition. The next way you can tell the difference is there's a feel, almost a taste. Now, I'm not saying a literal taste, like you could literally taste intuition, but I'm just saying it has a different feel. And once you get to understand your body, how you feel, and start watching for it, you'll start recognizing that feel. There's all, it's always associated with the body somehow. Even the knowing has a calm feeling to it. Um, a lot of times there's a body sensation with it. You're going to feel tingles, rings, and such, like I told you. Then another hallmark of that was an intuitive hit is your brain is going to go, why am I thinking that? And then start deducing how it's wrong and maybe throw in some doubts, might create some overthinking. That is very normal in the beginning. Once you start getting to get familiar and get to know your intuition, that will start taking a back seat later. All right, the fourth uh, question is, can I really trust my intuition? And I say yes, but with this caveat, you need to realize that you're going to have to get to know your intuition. If you don't know your intuition, then it's going to be hard to trust it. But secondly, you need to realize that everybody, I don't care how much experience you have, everybody needs to understand that they can be influenced or that their intuition can be filtered by your own desires, your own experiences. For example, if you have a issue with or that you think that all redheads are mean because you've had the experience of every redhead that you have met has been mean to you, and then so you're associating that with the meanness with the color of hair. And then you meet a new person who's a redhead. You need to recognize that you already have this bias. Your intuition may not be accurate because it's being influenced. Or if you really, really want something and you cannot, in the heart of you, even think about the opposite being the truth, your intuition is going to be filtered by those emotions and desires. So recognizing that we're influenced, our bodies are influenced by our emotions and by our experiences when you're looking at your intuition is very important. But it can be trusted once you recognize and work with that. The ways that you can work with those things that where you have those biases is you can do that simply through therapy. You can also do what's called shadow work, which is really getting to the root of why you have this emotion or this bias and helping you transform it into something that works for you. The fifth and the last question that I'm most commonly asked is when is it okay to trust it? When should I question it versus when should I trust it? You can rely on your intuition when you're in a good headspace. Okay. You can rely on your intuition when you're making those decisions that require um, a quick response, or where it requires something for you about your personal alignment or your personal self. So, like um, making choices with relationships or with career moves, or just what you want to do for you for your personal growth. Those are great spaces to use your intuition. Um, when there's no clear answer, and you're kind of waffling back and forth, and you have all the information and there's no clear answer for you, that's a great time to go with your gut hunch or your instinct or your intuition. Or when you're just trying to get a sense of another person and possibly their energy or their motives. Those are great times to trust your intuition. Times that you shouldn't trust your intuition are when it's really related to your body. Are you tired? Are you hungry? Are you emotional? Do you feel emotions? Now, the emotions can be emotions of excitement. If you've got too much excitement, that's going to filter your intuition. Or even if you're just irritated or you're angry or you're just not in a good mood, that's going to filter it. When you're under pressure or stress, that can impact the clarity of it as well. Um, if something is triggering you, so if you're creating those emotions, that is a big no-no to hang off on and realize that your intuition could be not as clear as what you think it is. I like to say if you're sick, if you're tired, if you're hungry, or you're dehydrated, it's not a good time to make intuitive decisions. But otherwise, if you're in a good space with your body, here's the key, your body is the antenna. If you're in a good space with that, if you're in a good space mentally, emotionally, and you're understanding a little bit and working on your biases, then yeah, go use that intuition. Those are the five most common questions. I hope this was helpful to you. If you have more questions that you would like videos on, just let me know. Just pop them in in the comments. Until then, we're magical, and you know what I'm going to say next. Go be magical today.